Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Thanks for checking in today on the VSiN app, YouTube TV, on Sirius XM channel 158, wherever you might be watching or listening to the show this afternoon here on MLK Day. Great show lined up over the next 3 hours, including Paul Stone, pro sports bettor in 30 minutes in the national title game. Chuck Edel, professional sports bettor. He won the Friday night contest here at Circa with an astonishing record. He's on in an hour. Nick Bogdanovich as well. So heavy today, national title. Weekend recap, Paulie, no doubt, looking ahead to Championship Sunday. But we have to begin with breaking news that came down 15 minutes ago. I can't believe it. You tweeted it out right before the show. It's a miracle. The Bears, we think, right? This is the guy. Who knows how this is going to work out? Maybe he's a dud in the last 2 years. But this is the guy you had to target all along with Caleb Williams in that offense. The Chicago Bears, according to Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, are going to finalize a deal with Ben Johnson to be their next head coach. Yeah.
Great job.
I agree.
Think they had it in them. I didn't think they could pull this off, and they interviewed 30 people, but they get their number one guy. And how about all the erroneous reports? Wow, the tug of war. It was between the Bears and the Raiders. But the reports, that's what just came down. But the reports were Raiders or Lions.
For like 4 days.
Yeah.
That's all we heard. Right? Either Tom Brady is sweet-talking this guy into becoming the head coach out here, or he's like, nah, he's uncomfortable. He's an introvert. He doesn't like big crowds, doesn't like to speak, that kind of a deal. So he's going to be okay being the Lions offensive coordinator, and Dan Campbell can be the face of the Lions organization. Nope. That didn't last very long. Bears got their guy. How would you grade this overall?
It's an A.
Yeah.
Because he's the number one guy, and who was out there? Because my pecking order was Johnson, Kingsbury, or McCarthy. Because if this is the guy you wanted last year, and now he falls into your lap
there
here,
you go.
The whole thing moving forward is fixing Williams. That's the whole thing. So I don't care what kind of defense you have or who you bring in, unless you get some creativity and fix him and gets a good scheme and make it look like and have some not organized chaos where you're actually running stuff and putting in good packages, then you have a chance, and then it only can succeed from there. But it has no chance if you're just running that crap with the clock management issues, rolling out to his left every play or to his right, and no organization. So it was they couldn't go defense. You saw the Eberflus mess with who was out there, and that they get this guy after all the people they were talking to. It's an A.
Totally agree. In fact, again, I will reiterate this. Maybe he flops after 2 or 3 years and he's not a good head coach. Some guys were born to be really good coordinators. Other guys are not good head coaches.
That's possible.
And I'll stand by it. Like at the time, Paul, what you just said, all things considered, you have to give this an A. I would lean towards an A+.
Right.
Because they didn't get, like, there was no John Harbaugh out there right now. Jim Harbaugh, sorry. There's no Jim Harbaugh in this coaching cycle. So did they whiff on him last year? Yeah, 100% they did.
Well, here's why you had to do it, though, too, because he was the number one guy, and you've never done that before.
Right.
Look at the motley crew of guys they've had in there. Tressman, Eberflus, John Fox. I mean, look at some of these coaches they've had.
Yeah, sure. And I think everybody else...
Lovey worked out for you. You had the Super Bowl run, but you needed to go out there and get the big-time hire and stop putting a Band-Aid on these bullet wounds.
Here's what I would tell somebody out there who in your mid to late 20s, early 30s, I'll tie in getting married. I told myself the entire time, growing up, I'm never going to get married. Never wanted to. Didn't care. Wasn't a big deal to me because I thought I was going to be settling, and I didn't. Never settle. And I don't care if you're 18 years old, 23 again, wherever you are, whatever you might be for a living, never settle if you're going to get married. And for coaching, it's the same thing. Anybody else other than Ben Johnson would have been settling. Like Mike McCarthy, I actually didn't even hate it. I don't think he's a very good head coach overall. He's won a lot of games with a lot of talent, but I thought that would have been an okay hire. You're settling for Mike McCarthy. You would have been settling for almost every other guy out there. Take a chance here with Ben Johnson. Because as I'm sitting here telling you that it might be a flop in 2 years, I don't know. Maybe he's a complete wizard as a head coach, and Caleb Williams turns into the guy they thought they were going to get number one overall. Like all this crap this weekend, and I love Jane Daniels. But how many people were making the case for Jane Daniels to go number one to Chicago last year? Now they are, conveniently enough. It's just like the same memes that we're seeing about, hey, they could have had Patrick Mahomes. Again, who made the case for Patrick Mahomes when he was drafted? Nobody was on the table beating it down, saying we have to take this guy or he's got to go number one. Don't recall it? You want to know why? Because nobody said it. So it's very easy to say nowadays, looking back at stuff and tying this into what go ahead.
I was going to say the other big thing is creativity and imagination.
Yeah.
They were promised that when they hired Nagy. Got none of it. None of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting the Kansas City offense. They're going to be running this gadget stuff. And he never brought any of that to Chicago.
After the first year, it was a disaster.
Right. So that's the big thing they needed. And if the fallback was Kingsbury, I was okay with that too because of creativity and imagination. And that's what desperately this organization needs in the quarterback position.
Right.
So an excellent job there, and I'm shocked that they're able to pull this off. And so many people doubted him, and rightfully so. But they had to do it and swing for the fences.
Also, he's hiring. See, here's what I'm talking about. He hired, or he's going to hire, Dennis Allen as his DC. Horrendous head coach, very good defensive coordinator. That is a very good step in the right direction already, like out of the gates. And like to go inside the Lions' own division now.
Yeah.
And you're like chopping off the leg of the 15-2 team that got blown out at home, could not win one playoff game on Saturday night. I don't know what's going to happen to Aaron Glenn. I will make the excuse for him that they had 30 different starters, I believe was the number this year on defense. And I saw this on X during the game. So who knows their teams better than anybody, right? It's like diehard, lifelong fans of the team. They know all the ins and outs. Like in baseball, they know if the manager goes to a reliever in the seventh inning, it's a mistake facing certain guys in baseball. In the NFL, they have everything memorized. They know the special teams players. I saw lifelong diehard Lions fans in the third quarter say, I didn't know who three guys were on defense. Had no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, but you're going to lose the press conference if you hire Glenn. So as much as they made of the great performance Sunday night against the Vikings, we all know what it was. It was Sam Darnold holding onto the ball and missing guys wide open. Because you can still have guys out, but you can still be buttoned up and look professional, and that wasn't professional. The McLaurin touchdown's an embarrassment. And I feel for the fan base, and I actually think we'll get to it coming up. He's in my bet. Ben Johnson was terrible, but you can't just, you got to get stops here, and you got to make it difficult on Washington. The too many men on the field, the McLaurin touchdown, guys wide open, it can't happen. And I've been there as a Viking fan, and this is only the second time this has happened in NFL history. You go 15-2 and you can't even win a playoff game. So that one stings.
That's a killer.
That's what sucks about sports. You want Dan Patrick was on this network. He was good. I root for the storylines. I'm not a fan anymore. I feel the same way. I wanted a Buffalo-Detroit Super Bowl. I wanted the Lions to make the Super Bowl. I wanted the Lions at least to get to the NFC title game. They've been, broken, beat up, and scarred. It's been this way for a long time. Horrible organization. Haven't won back-to-back playoff games since the 50s. Blew it last year. Should have won. Kick the field goal. Go up 17. Doesn't do it. And then here, you turn it over 5 times. You don't take care of the ball, and you can't get a stop even with all the injuries, and you lose, and you go 15-2, get the 1 seed, and for what?
You're down by 10, and you break out Jameson Williams to throw a pass in the game.
Yep.
It's 38-28.
Yep. I still think shotgun, 3rd and 1 was the most egregious. You're killing them on the ground.
Killing them on the ground.
Chunk after chunk after chunk. They can't stop the run. They're 30th against the run. Shotgun, 3rd and 1.
Gibbs all day long. Give him 29 carries in the game. I don't care. Give him 35. It doesn't matter to me. Also, I will say Jared Goff was far from great. We can all agree on that. But this is like the little things that will get lost. On the fumble, I think that was the first turnover of the game. I lost count. They had 5 overall.
Right.
But on the fumble, they're driving deep inside Washington territory. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown against Bobby Wagner. That's the exact matchup they wanted to isolate. He was going to have him wide open for a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown stumbled. Goff had to reevaluate what was going on. And in the time that he was waiting for Amon-Ra St. Brown to get up off the field and get open again, that's where the pressure came and he got hit. And the fumble occurred right there. That's a disaster. I mean, you can't predict that.
Well,
they got Amon-Ra St. Brown isolated on Bobby Wagner, and he's going to score a touchdown on that play.
There was a lot of instances like that with these games. But the other thing is the interception's horrendous. The pick 6. That was also a penalty. Pereira was right. Shouldn't have been a touchdown. In any event, where are you throwing the ball? The other interception before halftime in the end zone. You thought you had him there. The Williams play, that's egregious too. You can't do it. You're only down 10. You're right there. Why would you call that play there? When again, they can't stop anything you do on the ground, and you're pushing them around up front, and you're getting chunk after chunk play on the ground. That felt like a look at me. I'm in my bag. I've been working on this stuff for 2 weeks.
Right.
We got it. We know you're awesome. There's no need to do stuff like that. But the biggest concern was Campbell being too aggressive and giving a game away on fourth down or a fake punt, or what Ben Johnson did earlier against Tampa Bay. Pass, pass. You can run the ball. You have a great rushing attack and O-line. And Ben Johnson did a horrible job Saturday night.
I said that when I made my case for the Lions, and it sucks because that 12-1 on the Super Bowl, 6-1 on the NFC went down in flames. I said my biggest concern, I did not pinpoint Ben Johnson, but I said Dan Campbell overall will cost me games. I should have said Dan Campbell and the coaching staff will cost me games. And I never could have predicted 175 injuries on defense either.
Now what? You're going to lose both coordinators. How long is Goff going to play? And then who do you bring in to replace these guys, right? But that also goes back to maybe the concerns you have about Goff winning a big game.
That's why this was their year.
That's right.
This
it was all
them.
set up for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's tough. I think it's over for Detroit. That's unfortunate. And again, that's why it's so difficult this weekend. When you work your ass off to get the 1 seed, and you can't even do anything with it. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, now live 24/7, Sirius XM Channel 158. Whether you're at home, on the road, or on the go, more ways than ever to tune into VSiN. Stream us live, VSiN.com, the Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, and Sirius XM.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
National title game tonight as well. Ohio State, big favorites over Notre Dame. Kickoff coming up in a little bit more than 2.5 hours. Joined now by professional sports bettor Chuck Edel. He is on the Progressive guest line. He ran away with the Friday night Circa Invitational this year. Was awesome. Had a tremendous record, and he joins us here to talk about this game. Good afternoon, Chuck. Thanks for the time today on National Title Game Day. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be with you guys.
I want to run this by you overall about the game plan maybe changing tonight for Ohio State. Brandon Marcello covers college football. He had a good tweet over the weekend that said Ohio State has talked a lot this week about how they slowed the tempo on offense to save their legs for a long season. Their DC, Jim Knowles, the way he sees it, they saved about 150 plays on the year. Marcello added that he thinks, and I've heard other people make this case, that Chip Kelly might crank it up a couple of notches and go fast tempo tonight. What do you think about that idea?
I mean, if he did, it would be a good idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, I believe Ohio State has a lot more depth than Notre Dame, and I don't think Notre Dame has really seen that up-tempo game. If you look through their schedule, they really haven't played a team that plays that fast tempo. So it would be an interesting wrinkle. I don't know if they need to do that to beat Notre Dame, but might as well mix them in and see how they react.
What if Notre Dame plays man? And they said they're going to.
They're in deep trouble, I believe, if they play man. I mean, first of all, they against Penn State, they had a lot of guys up on the box to try to stop the run. Penn State still ran the ball for 204 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. They cannot do that against Ohio State, especially if they're playing man. They cannot bring all those guys up on the box because they'll get torched. Penn State didn't have a threat. Their quarterback was playing horrible. They're not a big passing team to begin with. And Notre Dame has said they're going to stick with their man coverage. It said that's what's got us here, and that's what they're going to stick with. We'll see. We'll see if that's what they do or how what type of adjustments they do make. But with all the weapons that Ohio State has, they got 3 wide receivers who could play in the NFL right now, and they could run the ball at you. There's a lot of different ways that they could go about it. So if they stick with the man coverage, I think that would be a mistake, and I think Ohio State would exploit that.
Yep, and Jeremiah Smith's calling for it again, much like he did before the Rose Bowl, and they made Oregon pay as well. What do you thought? What's the breakdown with terms of Notre Dame's offense going against a great Ohio State defense if Leonard and can get anything going through the passing game or if they can run the ball against them?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they could run the ball against them. I mean, this Ohio State's got the best run defense in the college football. They only allow 2.68 yards per carry. You know, this Ohio State held Texas to 58 yards rushing and 29 carries. Oregon rushed the ball 28 times for minus 23. Now, they included quarterbacks sacks in the college football when they talk about rushing yards. You know, and Notre Dame didn't really run the ball. They had a couple nice runs in the second half in that Penn State game, but they ran the ball 42 times for only 116 yards, 2.7 yards per carry. And if Notre Dame cannot run the ball, which I think they're going to struggle to do it, if you have to put the game in Leonard's hands, I think they're in big trouble. I mean, unless some defensive backs fall down like Penn State's did, he might get a few big plays. But I don't anticipate that happening. Ohio State's got the better defense. I think Ohio State is better in every aspect of the game except coaching. I would give that Notre Dame, and that's a little scary, but I would give the edge to the Notre Dame Freeman coaching wise. I think he's the better coach. But the talent of Ohio State, the depth of Ohio State, I think in every aspect of the game, I think they have the advantage. So we'll see. There's a lot of sharp money on both sides of this game. I mean, somebody who I respect as much as anybody out there as far as professional gamblers, he likes Notre Dame. So it's kind of like the Super Bowl. There's gonna be a lot of different opinions, but I do have a big opinion. I like Ohio State, and I think they, like I said, I think they can control the game on both sides of the ball. Offensive line, I think, their offensive line is used to going up against some physical defensive lines. They do, in the Big Ten, there's a lot of physical teams. So I don't think they're going to be caught off guard with what they do. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I mean, USC ran the ball. I watched that game end of the year. USC ran the ball 28 times for 197 yards on this Notre Dame team. You could run the ball on them. And if Ohio State could establish a run with the passing game that they have, I think they could cause them a lot of problems.
Now, Chuck, you were outstanding all year long in the Friday night contest, but specifically with totals in college football. At 46 tonight, does that do anything for you?
I do lean towards the over, and that's even before the talked about as far as the speed of playing fast. I think Ohio State will get their points, and the problem with taking the over is I would be a little concerned with Notre Dame scoring, so I'm not really playing the total. I would lean the over, but I really feel that Notre Dame's going to have a tough time scoring on the Ohio State defense. Do
you ever play team totals? It sounds to me like 17.5 might be a good under bet for you then with Notre Dame.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's definitely something that I nibbled with, and it still might jump in a little more.
Sure. Is your favorite prop Leonard under passing yards?
That was, yeah. I went under 176.5 on the Leonard passing yards. I really, Notre Dame likes to run the ball. Listen, they're going to try to run the ball, and that's they're going to run the ball a lot. I mean, against Penn State, they ran the ball 42 times, and they're going to, now if they get behind to this Ohio State team, which I anticipate happening, they're going to be forced to have to throw the ball. So, so I didn't go too crazy on that prop, but I still do like it under the 176.5.
All right, very good. Championship Sunday in the NFL coming up this weekend. I know that you concentrate on college a little bit more, did in the contest anyway. Do you have any opinion on the numbers that are currently on the board for either one of those games?
Yeah, I already jumped in on Buffalo +2 against Kansas City. It's Kansas City, they got away with these last second wins against the Carolina Panthers, against the Denver Broncos blocking the field goal. They got away even last week against Houston. Houston made some bad coaching decisions and some Kansas City caught some breaks, but you can't do all that against a team like Buffalo. And this Buffalo team's playing really well. And I didn't go too crazy, but I do like Buffalo plus the 2 points. I think they're playing really good ball right now. And let's face it, Kansas City has a great record. They got great coaching. They play well, but they've been lucky this year on more than a few occasions. And you can't get away with those kind of things against the top tier teams, and that's what they're going to be facing when they play Buffalo.
Buffalo needs to do the rest of the country a favor and end this and eliminate Kansas City. You're the best, Iceman. Good luck tonight. Thanks for a few minutes.
Thanks, guys.
Chuck Edel, Pro Sports Bettor, and he just won these Friday Football Invitational on the Progressive Guest Line. I agree with pretty much everything he said, even the coaching. I think Notre Dame has the edge at special teams. And you saw how big that was, and they can resort to trick plays. That could come into play. You got to take care of the ball. They only lost a turnover battle twice. That's big. They're drawing dead if they turn it over tonight. This fantastic Ohio State defense against top 20 offenses. They allowed 19 points per game and 4.9 yards per play. Those opponents on the season, 35 a game and 6.4 yards per play. So it shows you how great this defense is. And with a win, Ohio State becomes the first team in college football history to beat 5 top 5 teams.
5 top 5 teams.
What a season this would be, and we got it right with the playoff. I love Paul Stone. I disagree a little bit, though. It's like, listen, Army, you want to say service academies, Army and Navy are good. So the fact that the Irish played 7 ranked opponents and they've covered 11 in a row, they're battle-tested.
Let me run this by you.
So I think the stage won't be too bright for Notre Dame. The lights won't be too bright as we've seen in the past, and that's been a problem as Notre Dame has got their doors blown off in this spot. But with Freeman now, I think it makes a big difference, and they were the more physical team that did a great job against Georgia.
So I was reading a bunch of breakdowns on vsin.com today, including Matt Humans. He had a bunch of ideas for props that he likes, and, well, not ideas. I mean, he made these bets. One of them was Notre Dame's, the result of their first drive is a punt, minus 140.
Yeah, good call. You can also find punt before score. That's another one to look at.
Okay.
And dilly and dally with that one. Yeah, right.
Now, what about this?
Now, first 5 has got me a little scared if they're going to go warp speed. But I would still think under first 5 minutes, no first points is a good one as well.
And who knows? I mean, that's they're talking about it, so maybe that's going to be a thing.
The Chip Kelly golden chess mass here is great.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Now, I like this one. I don't know where Matt found this, but Riley Leonard and Will Howard, to each have 10-plus passing yards in each quarter.
That's a DraftKings.
Plus 125.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
That is not bad at all.
I saw the same thing. There's another one. Will Howard have 100 yards in each half? It's plus 150.
Well, hold on. Think about game flow here. They're 9-point favorites in some spots. Chuck just made he thinks, I mean, based on what he was saying, he loves Ohio State in the game. What if they get out big and they just run the ball in the second half?
I still think it's a good bet.
That'd be the angle that is not a winner. But if they go man to man, I mean,
I like both of those. Each guy to have 10 passing yards each quarter, and Will Howard have 100 yards each half. The first one's plus 125. The second one's plus 150.
Yeah. I made a case today it's up at vsin.com as well. How about Leonard to lead the game in rushing yards at 7-1? Joe Klatt saying they have to run the ball on first downs with him for first down success.
Okay.
And then again, if they fall behind, he's going to be dropping back to pass, and several times he will take off and run.
Good numbers from Mackinnon, vsin.com. Favorites 5-0 straight up in ATS in the last 5 title games. And the Mackinnon numbers, if you can't get to 21 points, forget it. Because remember, Brad Powers' top play is Notre Dame team total under 17.5. You're 1-15 straight up in ATS if you can't get to 21 points. Looks like Ohio State. Start making smarter bets today with a VSiN Pro subscription. Sign up now. Save 25% off the annual subscription with promo code FTM. Dominate the football playoffs and the Super Bowl. Don't miss out. Promo code FTM. Get 25% off now.
Up next, who has the best A game remaining in the NFL, and one bettor can win $500,000 on a 1,000-to-1 shot to win Super Bowl MVP, and I kind of like it.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Game time, a little over 2 hours now. Ohio State laying 9 against Notre Dame here at Circa. Total is 46. And Sports Gambling Hall of Famer, longtime Vegas odds maker here at Circa Sports, Nick Bogdanovich, joins the program to discuss on the Progressive Guest Line. Good afternoon, Nick. Thanks for the time. How has the action been today specifically? Hot and heavy on this game?
Yeah, I would say hot, maybe not heavy, but definitely some money in the coffers. So good two-way action. We don't have a decision as of yet, but we still got two hours to figure that out.
Where are you at overall with this current number of 9?
Yeah, a long time ago we opened this thing 10.5, got as low as 8. We settled in at 9. We got a 6-figure bet on each side. So, right now we figure to earn some good juice. But like I said, you never know in the last couple hours when someone will come in and make a 6-figure bet. So, but the number's solid. I mean, I think it's right there. I mean, I think 10 was a take and 7 was a lay. So it was somewhere in the middle. And I think it's a pretty solid number. So I feel pretty good about the game.
Anything significant come on money line or on a total?
No, not really. I mean, we opened the total like 45, and I think we're hanging around 46. Nothing major really on the total, and no super big money line bets. Sometimes in games like this, when you're down the final game, you might get some hedging on futures if someone has a nice bet on Ohio State or Notre Dame, but nothing really major to speak of on the money line.
Okay.
Yeah. So how was the weekend then, considering what happened with Detroit going down and then how we had some bizarre finishes in some of the games? How'd the book do?
Yeah, the book had a nice weekend, so no complaints on this end for sure.
So the Bills game falls 52. That was okay? Open 51 and a half, 52, 52 and a half falls 52.
We lose a little money there, but the action on the total is nowhere near what it is when we factor in side and money lines and teasers. So, but yeah, no, 52 is no good.
Okay,
and then that was for sure.
Right, and then Friday we were on the air when you went to Baltimore Lane too, the only spot in the world that had Baltimore too. How about Kansas City? 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5 falls 9 with the safety.
Yeah, we got sided pretty good there. We had a lot of money -9 and a lot of money plus 9.5. So that didn't start the 4-game cycle off any good, but the Commanders took care of that. So, that's the very first game of the betting cycle. So there's 4 games there. So some people might have been happy it came 9 because a lot of square houses have a ton of square parlays, and probably the most of the money was at -9.5. So they probably were happy with it coming, but for a joint like us where we write a lot of straight bets to a lot of sharp customers, 9 was definitely not a good thing. And I saw it coming a mile away. I could see he was going to do it, but
yeah.
he didn't have to do it.
No.
He did it, and that's fine. But yeah, no, the 9 was no good, but we got bailed out. I mean, obviously the Commanders winning straight up was what was the whole weekend.
What if he makes the field goal and it falls 8?
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have been any good. But like I said,
all right.
No complaints on this end, and it was crazy how many goofy things happened over the weekend with all the missed extra points, taking the safety, the game coming 52. So it was crazy, but it really just magnifies the importance of always getting the best number, because these games they fall so often. And man, speaking for college basketball, these games are falling left and right in college basketball. So make sure you have plenty of apps and hunt for a number. That's all. That's my suggestion for the day.
Explain why the Commanders winning outright was such a good result.
Yeah, there was about as many teasers as you could possibly have to Chiefs and Lions. There was just unlimited. Everyone, thought there's no way that rookie quarterback was going to go in there and outscore the Detroit Lions, but all those defensive injuries finally caught up with Detroit. I mean, they had absolutely zero answer. I don't ever remember watching a series thinking this team can get them off the field, and they never did. And it's really a sad ending for the Lions. I mean, they were the best team over the 18-game regular season, but you just can't. I've never seen a cluster of injuries like they had on the defensive side of the ball. So it eventually ended up biting them in the rear.
How good is this Daniels kid?
Yeah, he's special. I mean, I liked him when he was a freshman at Arizona State. Mm-hmm. He looked like he had the goods. And then obviously that year he had at LSU. I mean, that was the year that every single game went over, 12 games over blindly. We missed that one. I mean, everyone should have been cashing in on that. He was unstoppable, and LSU had the worst defense known to mankind. So, he hasn't missed a beat. And, he went where he found an offensive coordinator that was perfect for him. And it's not like they got the greatest weapons of all mm-hmm. time. I mean, Ertz is 87-year-old and the slowest player in pro football. I mean, McLaurin's a top shelf receiver, but other than that, it's not like they have a Beryl Richards, and Brian Robinson Jr. is okay, not great. So he was the difference maker for sure. He had a year to remember.
Numerous books said Lions most bet future team as well, so you wipe that out. Also, with what happened on Saturday, how about the Rams? Detroit, Philly about 6.5, 7 closed. I think 6.5. Where did it close at your book? There were some 6.5s out there. Mix it a 5.5, but then falls 6.
7 was a bad number. 6 was okay for us. We took a big bet minus 6.5. 7 was bad, but Elliott can't make an extra point, so he bailed us out there. So that was a hell of a game. It really was. Had every so many big plays. The elements were obviously a big part of the game, but I give the Rams full marks for going in there and competing. McVay's a pretty darn good coach. Totally agree. And they were tough. They were physical. They showed up with the sweatshirts, tough guys with what they were wearing, and they were certainly a great season and a good team. What do you make? What do you think of Philly and Washington? And it looks like Hurts is banged up with the knee. Do you give Washington a good shot to go in there and win? I wouldn't want to bet against them. I mean, they went down to Tampa, handled business. They went to Detroit, handled business. They believe, and they're playing well. I mean, they don't make mistakes, and they're hard to get off the field. So, and Philly, I mean, they're going to – if Hurts is banged up, that makes them super one-dimensional. Now you can really key on Barkley a lot more. So – and he could barely walk at the end of that game. So who knows how healthy he comes this 6 days from now. But, yeah, I mean, we opened, I think it was 4.5, and it got bet up to 5. But those people who were laying the 4.5, they must have a better health report than I got, because right now he looks gimpy to me. No kidding. Any like decent bets coming in so far or no? Just 5 figures, nothing 6 figures, but yeah, I mean, that one there I'd wait to the end, and then obviously the other game speaks for itself. You can't get much better than that one. Thank you, my friend. See you soon. Be well. Thanks for a few minutes. All right, guys. Have a great week. Enjoy the game tonight. Hopefully it's a nail biter. I'm with you. Hall of Famer Nick Bogdanovich here at Cirque on the Progressive Guest Line. So the other thing here is Washington was 150-1 to win the Super Bowl. They're one win away from going to the Super Bowl. Derek Stevens and Mike Palm have their celebrity invitational blackjack tournament. And they did a couple this past season. They did one in December, and they did one in August. That's the one where you took Atlanta with the fourth pick? Fourth, yeah. Okay. I took Miami. It blew up. I took Miami at 12. But, so there were 32 people invited. Everybody's going to get it. Like, one team's going to get selected every single time. Yeah. So, Luke, you can put this one up. There's a great shot of putting the team on the board. Okay? And you go back and you look at the board. And still, at 28, someone took the Patriots. Pick 29, Washington wasn't even selected. Tampa Bay went 27. Jacksonville, 26th. The Bears went 25. To think that no one even thought this was possible, other than Chris Massaro, by the way. Wait, no, hold on. I thought Washington was taken I thought they were like 250-1. Oh, there it is, 18. I didn't see it. Yeah. Oh, Brandon Porter had him, 18. That was Houston last year. I think we got Houston at 26 or 27 last year, so, 250-1. Yeah, Porter's got him. Brandon Porter, I met him, nice guy. 250-1
for 2,000.
Yeah, with the 18th pick.
Right. So that's what I was trying to do at number 4 overall. Once the Lions were gone,
oh my God,
I wanted the Lions all along. I finished 4th. I'm like, I want this young team, good schedule, but I didn't take them because I loved the Commanders this year, like win total over Bet Daniels. I wasn't taking them to win the Super Bowl. I thought the division was going to be too tough, and Atlanta had this young and up-and-coming team and a super easy schedule, but that's what you kind of got to look for, right?
What a huge ticket.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, Von Tobel, 21st, took Arizona. That's wild. I can't get enough of that. And the Vikings went 24th. There's another one. These teams made the playoffs. VSiN fans, you're in luck. Derek Stevens offering you 15% off at 3 incredible properties: Circle Las Vegas, a D Hotel, and Golden Gate. Book your 2025 stay now, CircleLasVegas.com. Use VSiN 15 to get 15% off. Win, lose, coming up next.
This This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Start making smarter bets today with a VSiN Pro subscription. Sign up now, 25% off an annual subscription. Promo code FTM. Dominate the playoffs and beyond with instant access. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits from DraftKings and Circa. The 24/7 access to the live video stream and on-demand show replays. And the upcoming Super Bowl betting guide. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Sign up now, VSiN.com/subscribe. Promo code FTM. Save 25% off the VSiN Pro annual subscription today. VSiN.com/subscribe. Humans is here talking about the big news of the day. I'm stunned. They got it right. I gave them an A. You're from the area. You covered the Chicago team, especially the Bulls. What do you think of the Bears getting Ben Johnson? How surprised are you?
You know, I covered the Bears for 5 years in the late 90s. Dave Wanstedt was first. He was first to coach.
Yeah.
And then he was out. Bears never made the playoffs in the 5 years I covered the team. But I'm surprised, really, really surprised. And here's why. Because if you're Ben Johnson and you have your pick of these jobs, Paul, why are you picking this Chicago front office? Kevin Warren has proven incompetent. Ryan Poles has done one of the worst jobs of any GM in the league. And you're going to step into that situation and work with Warren and Poles is a little bit surprising to me. Now, you're going to hear the pro-Bears people say, well, you got a quarterback. You got Caleb Williams you can work with, and you don't have that necessarily. Do you want to work with Trevor Lawrence? You probably wouldn't, right?
No.
The Raiders situation don't really have a quarterback.
Right.
You know, but you can find a quarterback, and that's why from what I saw from Caleb Williams this year, I think Ben Johnson's got his work cut out for him. He's got a lot of work to do on a quarterback who can't really operate within the structure of an offense, is always trying to freelance.
That's right.
And so I think it's going to be a challenging job, especially in a division where you got to compete with the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. So I was a bit surprised that Ben Johnson did pick the Bears. But is it a lock, Paul Howard, that Ben Johnson's going to be a great head coach? Why did you call the wide receiver pass with Jamison Williams?
Horrible.
Why do you have your quarterback setting up in the shotgun on 3rd and 1 like you and I were talking about during the break? Situations like that really annoy you when you watch these coaches and you wonder, you know, on top of everything else, can the guy manage a game in clock situations? You don't know that for sure.
You know what my answer is?
When you've never been a head coach.
Right. I think he was trying to show off.
Do you? Yeah.
That I've been deep in my bag for 2 weeks, and here's what I can come up with, and that's stupid. You got to know the time and situation and understand. They were running all over him. They're 30th against the run.
Yeah,
you're gashing them. That was stupid.
It was.
So I'm with you.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that he was trying to show off.
Right.
Yeah.
So the experts quote were right that he wanted this job last year, and this is the job he wanted. They also were way off here saying it was Raiders or stay with the Lions.
Right. Well, I think a lot of times these NFL insiders might be told something from somebody who doesn't really know what they're talking about, and they're just trying to throw a report out there because they want to be first. You got so many reporters who want to be first and don't care about being right, and they're just going to throw some crap against the wall and hope it sticks and say, well, I called that one. You know, it's a lot of reporters in the NFL media. There are a few that have a lot of credibility. I think some are just guessing. When you're talking about this Ben Johnson situation, did anybody really have inside information? I don't think so. Because what we heard was Ben Johnson was going to the Raiders or he's going to stay put with the Lions. So nobody knew what they were talking about.
I think this is why this is so big, though. I mean, maybe it doesn't work. You're right. Nothing's a lock. But going back, the bad coaches you've had, you know, Fox,
right,
Eberflus, Tressman.
Nagy.
I know you laughed at the hire.
Oh, I hated the Matt Nagy
Nagy
hire.
was right because Nagy promised creativity and imagination and delivered crap, and there was none of it. Now, congratulations, he did make the playoffs with Trubisky, right?
One big year,
and the double doink, right? But we never saw any of that with Chicago, and I would think you're going to see this, and with all the weapons that they have, it's going to look like a professional outfit. But that's where you got to love it if you're a Chicago fan, based on what you've had the last 10, 15 years. And now this guy can come in, whether he's socially awkward or not a leader of men, whatever. I know once he walks up there and can diagram a play and get scheme guys open and tell Williams what to do and what not to do and manage the clock properly.
You want to talk about socially awkward? How about Matt Nagy? How about Matt Eberflus? Two of the Mark Tressman. Bears haven't really hired a competent head coach in about 10 years. Give Ben Johnson a shot. I think the Bears are lucky to get him. Let's put it that way. There's no guarantee he's going to be a big success, but I do think the Bears were lucky to get him.
What do you think the Raiders do now?
You know what? Who I'd seriously look at is Pete Carroll. I think the Raiders got to look at a proven winner as a head coach. a guy can come in and, make it a professional organization again, because under Antonio Pierce, things kind of slipped, right? It was like the substitute teacher was in charge of class, and the students had the run of the building. And I think somebody's got to come in and straighten that thing up, and maybe it's Tom Brady and Pete Carroll who get the Raiders fixed. There's some other options out there. I really think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be an option as a head coach, and I thought the Bears might actually – make a serious run at Kingsbury because he knows Caleb Williams, and he'd be a good coach to help turn around a quarterback like that. The Bears were close to hiring Kingsbury as offensive coordinator, as you know, about this time a year ago. So I think that's an option. You got to hire somebody who's been a head coach before, though, at this point. If you lose out on Ben Johnson, I think you have to hire somebody who's got head coach experience here in Vegas.
You're coming up with Tim Murray leading the pregame.
He's nervous.
Game at 4:30. Yeah. A 9-point dog now. What are your thoughts on this game tonight? I like that prop you found. We talked about it. Both quarterbacks to have 10 yards passing in each quarter. It's a DraftKings plus 125.
Doesn't it look too easy?
Yeah, right. It's like Will Howard have 100 yards in both halves.
Yeah,
plus 150.
Right. And you think Howard's going to be putting the ball in the air quite a bit tonight. I'm not worried about the Will Howard part of that prop, because if Ohio State's offense is going to have success, you got to use the pass to set up the run. You got to spread the field. Will Howard's got to be putting the ball in the hands of the playmakers, and you got to try to exploit Notre Dame's man defensive coverage. Al Golden, the Notre Dame defensive coordinator, loves to play man coverage.
Yep.
And what can Ohio State do in man? Exploit that type of defense and exploit that type of scheme. I think why Texas was so successful against Ohio State is they were playing a lot of zone, mixing things up, and they had guys in the secondary who were kind of locking down Jeremiah Smith and some of the Buckeyes playmakers. Notre Dame's going to struggle with that tonight. So when you look at that prop of 10 yards passing in each quarter, I'm not worried about the Will Howard part. There is going to be one quarter where we might not get it from Riley Leonard, right, where Notre Dame's just going to stick with the run and grind it out on the ground, and maybe he doesn't go to the air because he had 90 yards passing against Georgia. He did have, I think, right around 230 yards passing, or 224 against Penn State in the previous game. But I kind of like that prop. Paul, would you play it? You can actually bet it 15 yards passing in each quarter at like plus 225, or 20 yards at plus 350. Do you want to take a chance with something like that, or do you stick with the 10 yards? I just stuck with the 10 yards because I'm worried about Riley Leonard in one quarter not throwing the ball much, right?
Is this correlated?
What's that?
Notre Dame and under?
I don't know, man. So here's the thing.
Brad Powers' favorite bet is the Notre Dame team total under 17.5.
I know, yeah.
They have to take care of the ball. They've only lost the turnover battle twice. Great defense. So do the Buckeyes. How do you see this in terms of how Notre Dame can hang in this one?
Notre Dame's going to have to slow the tempo of the game. We talked about this on our VSiN College Football Betting podcast last week. Tempo is a key to this for both teams. Notre Dame's got to try to slow the pace of the game, run the ball, run the clock, and that's how you drag Ohio State into the mud and get them to play your style of game. So if the Irish are effective doing that, I think you're right. It'd be under the total. I did play Notre Dame plus 8.5 here. I'll talk a little bit more detail how I bet this. But Notre Dame's got to slow the tempo, and they need Ohio State to make a couple big mistakes. Notre Dame defense leads the nation in takeaways with 32 turnovers. And Ohio State, if it plays a flawless game tonight, Notre Dame's not going to win. But Buckeyes make a couple of mistakes.
Penalties, too. They were constantly in 1st and 20 against Texas, 1st and 15.
They make a couple mistakes here and there and aren't successful in speeding up the pace of the game, then the Irish got a real shot. What we talked about last week was Ohio State. You got to play at a fast tempo. I wouldn't be huddling up tonight. I'd be almost no huddle offense, trying to run as many plays as possible and trying to keep this Notre Dame defense on its heels. So the Irish are going to want to run the ball, run the clock. Ohio State should want to speed things up. The way Chip Kelly screwed up the Michigan game, that was a mess in the Michigan game. Chip Kelly's play calling, trying to play power football and run it between the tackles. He ran between the guards 19 times for 18 yards. That was stupid football. All right, low IQ play calling by Chip Kelly. Ohio State's got to do the exact opposite tonight. So if the Buckeyes speed up the pace of the game, yeah, you'd probably say Ohio State and over would be the way you'd look. It's hard to predict right now who's going to win out in terms of the contrasting styles. Is Notre Dame going to be effective trying to slow down the pace of the game? Also, I did bet a prop on Notre Dame's first drive, the result to be a punt.
Yep.
I think I think the play calling is going to be really conservative coming out of the gate. Irish probably going to run the ball 2 times in the first 3 plays and probably punt on their first series, and that's minus 130. I think the first 3 series against Penn State, Notre Dame had punt, interception, punt, and I think you'll probably see something like that tonight.
Need a big special teams play, too, as well. I think that has to be big for them to get this done. Again, favorites 5-0 straight up in ATS, last 5 title games, and the good number from Makinen. If you can't crack 21 points, you're dead. 1-15 straight up ATS run from the loser there. Great job, Matt. We'll be listening to you coming up. Some people call it luck and greatness. I call it nonsense and shenanigans. The Kansas City Chiefs up next with a big breakdown on Follow the Money.